VoidShell version 2.0 beta, a new release from Void Whisper. This is the successor to Shadow Mount, so it has the same functionality as Shadow Mount to mount your PlayStation 5 game dumps and be able to run them, but it also has so many other useful tools all packed into one package. It's similar to something like Webman Mod for the PS3, and I think this is going to be the go-to tool to use on jailbroken PS5s going forward. So I'm going to show you how to set it up here in this video. You can grab it from Void Whisper's Ko-Fi page here. So I have a USB drive right here, and inside I have my PS5 autoloader folder for the YouTube jailbreak. If you don't know how to get the YouTube jailbreak set up, I do have full tutorials showing you guys how to do that. I'll leave them linked in the video description. They're part of the PS5 tutorials playlist. So I'm going to go into the PS5 autoloader folder in the root of the USB, copy the VoidShell payload inside, and then open up your autoload.txt file here to be able to customize which payloads get loaded. So I'm using etaHEN with this. You can either use Kstuff on its own, or you can use etaHEN. So what we want to do though is get rid of Shadow Mount, because VoidShell will replace Shadow Mount. So I can get rid of Shadow Mount here and then just copy the name of VoidShell payload and paste it in here after etaHEN. So you want to load Kstuff first and then VoidShell second, or etaHEN and then VoidShell second. I also wouldn't have any other payloads in here, because any other additional payloads we can actually run using VoidShell's own autoloader. So all we need is VoidShell. In fact, you can even just load VoidShell standalone and copy the Kstuff payload into the data folder on the PS5's internal storage in order to be able to just have one payload that gets loaded. So if you're using like another jailbreak method, for example. But with this one, we'll just go with etaHEN and then VoidShell. So once that's done, I also have a PS5 game dump on my USB drive in the etaHEN games folder. This is Elden Ring as a PS5 game backup. So we can also test the Shadow Mount functionality of VoidShell, make sure that is also working. So now we can go ahead and unplug that USB drive and plug it into our PS5. Okay, so on my PS5, you can see I don't have Elden Ring installed right now. So we're going to go into our media section and run the YouTube jailbreak autoloader to jailbreak the PS5. Now there's going to be a lot of different notifications here, so I'm going to pause on it so that you can kind of see what is going on. So we get etaHEN loaded, then we get this critical error, welcome to Kstuff. So first of all, you can see critical error, Kstuff is missing data VoidShell payloads. You can add, like I said, Kstuff to that location in the data folder, the data VoidShell payloads, to load Kstuff from within there. But if you're loading Kstuff anyway via other means, loading it through the YouTube jailbreak autoloader or from etaHEN, then you can ignore that critical error message, since we're not loading Kstuff from that location anyway, but it is being loaded. You also need to make sure it is loading Kstuff version 1.6.7, as you can see here, because 1.6.6 is normally built into etaHEN, and that will not work with VoidShell. So it needs to be version 1.6.7 of Kstuff that is being loaded or higher. So that is the important thing. Now, if you are still loading 1.6.6 through etaHEN, you can go into the settings, scroll down to your debug settings or etaHEN toolbox, and then go into the settings menu, Kstuff menu, and then make sure you're connected to the internet just briefly on the PS5 so that you can use the option to replace Kstuff with the latest Kstuff via GitHub. If you select that option, it will download the latest Kstuff build, which is compatible with VoidShell, and then you can restart your PS5, load the YouTube jailbreak again, and this time it will load the correct version of Kstuff that will work with VoidShell, and you should have everything up and running. Now you can see it also detected our games and added them. So I actually have one game dump on the internal storage, which is Dead Space, which it added, and it has the other one from the USB drive, Elden Ring, which is also showing up. But we also have a web panel that is running on the PS5 itself. There's a web server that is running with VoidShell. So if we go into our system settings, system software console information, grab our PS5's IP address, so 192.168.137.83, and then I'll head back over here to our homepage. So now on your computer, you can just enter the PS5's IP address with :7007 to take you over to the web panel, providing, of course, you are connected to the same network as your PS5. So here we go. We have VoidShell up and running. It tells you your APU temperature, CPU temperature, system uptime, and the total games in your library, including how many PS5 and PS4 games are installed. And you have all of your games showing up in this list here. If we put things side by side, you can see that you can also remotely launch your games. So for instance, we've got Elden Ring here. I can just go ahead and click play Elden Ring, and it says it's launching it on the PS5. Takes a few seconds, but then it will launch the game. And you can see it also says when it's launching the game that it is disabling Kstuff within 10 seconds. So when the game loads, Kstuff will be disabled to give you better performance in your games. So game mode is now active, kernel protection is paused, which means Kstuff is disabled, and it has successfully launched our game. And then when we go to close out of the game, you will see that it will also resume kernel protection, which is Kstuff. So Kstuff will be running again when you close out of your game. So that's also included there. So if we full screen this again, we have a few more useful options. We've got the file manager. So this allows you to upload files directly to the PS5. So you can upload your game dumps. If we go into the data folder here on the right, we've got the etaHEN folder and then the games folder, and we can upload our games in here. So I already have one game dump in here, but I can upload another one by selecting this option to upload files, or this option to upload a whole folder. So for game dumps, it's an entire folder. So we're going to select upload folder. Then we can simply select one of our game dumps. So this is Minecraft as a PS5 game dump. I'll upload that folder and tell it to upload, and that will start transferring it over to the PS5. So there it goes right there. It's now uploading. And once the game dump is copied over, it automatically adds it here. So you can see it is now copied over successfully. And you can also delete games. So once they're copied over, you can hit the delete button to delete entire game dump folders if you want. And that will go through and delete the game dump. So if there's any game dumps you don't want anymore, you can delete them from the file commander as well. You can also copy them to another location or move them to another location. Those actions can be performed from within here too. There's also this safety option which you can toggle on and off. This just protects the system partitions, so you cannot write to the system partitions and potentially corrupt your install on the PS5. So that is on by default, but it can be disabled if you want to write to those system partitions. Then we've got the package manager, so you can install package files here, enter a URL to install a package file online directly to the PS5. You can also select individual package files or a folder of package files. So if we select a package file to install, so I'll just select PT, the PS4 fake package. I'll open that file up and it starts automatically transferring it over to the PS5. So you can see the kind of speeds you can get when you're just transferring one file. Up to 70, up to 80 megabytes per second it can reach when installing files. So with this, it actually copies the package file over to the console first and then starts installing it. So you end up with two copies effectively on the PS5, the package file itself, and then the installed version once it's installed. So you can see it is installing PT right there. So what you can do once the application has been installed is you can click the button to clear the temporary files, which will delete the package file that was copied over because you don't need that package file once the application's fully installed. So as soon as PT installs here, as you can see, it is just about done. So any second now it should be done. There it is, ready to play. We can now clear the temporary files to get rid of the package file that was copied over. So that's another thing you can do there. But if we go into the settings panel, you can also enable the auto delete packages option. And that way, whenever you go ahead and actually install a package file with the package installer, it will automatically delete the package file after it has been installed for you, so you don't have to clear the temporary files. And then we've got the Payload Manager. Now there's no payloads showing up yet, but you can use this as an autoloader or to individually load payloads. Now to add payloads, you can use the file commander that we've just been using. We can go into the data folder and then go down to the VoidShell folder, and then the payloads folder in here, and then we can upload payloads by selecting the upload files here. So I have a bunch of payloads to add in this folder. I'll select them and that will upload those payloads to that location. And now if we go back to the Payload Manager, you can see all the payloads show up. So you can auto-load specific payloads, so you can use this as an autoloader. So we can enable auto-loading for the FTP payload, maybe the Garlic Save Manager. And then you can also change the boot order of those payloads. So if I want Garlic Save Manager to load first, I can move it up so it gets loaded first and then FTP. So once VoidShell is loaded by your jailbreak, it will then load any of your auto-selected payloads in the specific order that you have them set here. So Garlic Save Manager, then the FTP payload. Next to the auto load option, you also have a delay section. So you can delay loading each payload by a set number of seconds. But you can also just not have the autoloader and just log on to the web panel whenever you want to load a specific payload. And then we can load a payload like Garlic Save Manager. If I just click inject, it will manually inject the payload. And there it goes there, running on port 8082. So you can load payloads manually. It even tells you which payloads are currently loaded, which is handy. So it's got all of those features built in here. And then you've got your settings. So you've got dark mode, web server, auto delete packages. You've got fan control, so you can override the fan control and set a specific temperature threshold. And then the console will adjust the fan speed to keep the temperature within that threshold. And you can disable it to go back to the system default fan configuration. Then you have the scan interval, so how many seconds before it initiates a rescan, looking for additional game dumps that have been added. So you can adjust that. There's also Sentinel Warden. This is the pausing Kstuff and unpausing Kstuff when you run your games. So you can also disable that or adjust the default game delay on how many seconds after launching a game before it disables Kstuff. It's set to 10 seconds by default. You can also disable notifications, so you will not constantly get those notifications telling you when Kstuff is paused and unpaused. It will still do it, but the notification will not appear because it can be quite distracting. And then also the resume delay, so how many seconds before it resumes Kstuff when, exiting back out to the home page. So it's set to 3 seconds by default. Then there's a whitelist, so you can add specific game title IDs of games that you don't want Kstuff to be paused on. So if there's any applications that you want to keep Kstuff running on 24/7, then you can add them to the whitelist and it will not pause Kstuff for those titles. Then you have custom delays, so you can delay Kstuff loading on a specific title longer or shorter, because some games might need to be paused later on because the game might take longer to load and it might need Kstuff running for longer. So let's say I want to add a longer delay for a game like Dead Space, which probably doesn't need it, but let's say I change it from 10 seconds to 15 seconds, so 15,000 milliseconds, and then I can type in PPSA and select the game, say Dead Space here, and that will go ahead and add a custom delay, so it will pause Kstuff after 15 seconds when loading Dead Space, but every other game it will pause it within 10 seconds. So you can do that. There's also blacklist hidden games, so you can blacklist specific game dumps so it will not scan them and try to add them. And you can also add a custom scan path, so any games that you store in a different location to the common locations that VoidShell scans, then you can add that custom path in here so it will scan that location as well for any of your game dumps. And then beyond that, you have the log and the repair sections. If you click that option, it will basically try to repair the icons. So if you have any games shortcuts that are broken and the icons are broken, or maybe then you can select that option to try and fix it so they are displayed properly with the correct icons. And you can also click the button here to pause scanner so that it will not continue to scan for any game dumps when it is paused. So those are your main options. There's a few other additional features, but those are the primary ones here with VoidShell. So yeah, definitely check this out. It is in beta right now, so there may be a few bugs, but it's definitely worth setting this up because I think this is going to be the go-to tool for your jailbroken PS5 to be able to remotely manage it with all of the features that are built in, with most likely more to come in future updates. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video or found the information useful. If you did, please leave a like and subscribe. And as always, I'll hopefully see